the session. We are having some of the people coming in. So good afternoon, everyone. It is now 12:01. I was going to say morning. Today's session was supposed to be run by Taylor Quinn, my colleague, and she does have a last-minute emergency. And so she quickly texted me and said that, she needed me to pick it up. So I am picking up the meeting, and I would like to share with you. The first thing is that I do know the theme of today's session, which is empathy and compassion building. And we are still in that whole chapter about how we are building our inner strength using mindfulness. And so one of the things I'm going to ask you is to bear with me, because I do not have any visual today. I'm just going to speak to you and share the recording, and also maybe give us some time to be able to exchange on our feeling and our thinking after the recording. I would probably be able to share the visual with you later on once Taylor is back, and then be able to share what she's prepared online with you. So compassion and empathy is something, in my understanding of, every week when we have a stand-up with the Center Block Rehabilitation Program, we always start our stand-up sessions with a couple minutes of mindfulness. And I have to tell you that from the bottom of my heart, every week when I'm preparing the little 2 to 5 minute speech, I always tell myself, am I going to sound like a squeaky wheel? Am I going to remind people all the time about the same thing, which is, take a couple deep breaths and then be mindful and think about, how the other person and how the group is feeling when such and such information is being shared with us. And doing so, it is naturally in us to be compassionate, because we're human beings, and then we are born with this, heart. When babies are reaching out, to look for love, and then when we're hugging them, I think naturally we are born with the empathy and then the compassion that we have in us. And the business of life made it so that we are just saying to ourselves, I'm so busy, I don't have time, and I can't think about this right now. And so I'm pushing it on the side, and I'm concentrating on other things, and that other things hinders our capacities to be able to reach deep down in our heart that generosity that we need to show to the situation. So when we're talking basically in this chapter of the 4 or 5 past courses, and then the next couple, in building our inner strength, it is basically revisiting everything that we actually acquired since the beginning of our discussions together. Now many months now, it's almost a year, is about the deep breathing exercise, the taking a distance, looking at ourselves from a little bit afar, making sure that making sure that we are recognizing each sensation, each feeling, and then each situation, or each thought that is coming and then brusquing their way into our mind, recognizing them, and then be able to say, stop, I am actually reacting like that for X reason, recognizing my reaction and recognizing the time that I need to take to breathe and then to calm myself. So all those different actually steps that we have viewed together since our journey together is helping us to build this inner capacity to come down and not to be emotionally reactive. And then once we actually have that happening in us, what actually is showing up is that empathy and that compassion for what is happening, that patience of seeing, what's going on around us. So I'm going to share that a podcast with you, but I want to give you a quick example of why this actually and how it really a real a life example of what really happened recently with my parents and especially my father. I have an extremely demanding 90-year-old father who does not speak English nor French, and everything he does it through me or my brother. And because we're his translators, he's also using, I would say use with a little bit of a hyphen here, us as a Chinese philosophy that parents are always, have always a right of using their kids. So for years and years, I was very impatient. For years and years, I was very, very emotional regarding this type of situation and relationship with my father. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it has taken me so many years, and I'm now 47 years and years old. And with the practice, the ongoing practice of mindfulness with you, that I have actually entered in a deeper journey recently, it helped me to look at the fact that my father is always who he is, and what he's saying is just stating facts of what he wants, and that emotions that are coming out of my body is coming out of me, and that I have total control of taking a distance from those emotions, keeping a distance from the demands of my father. And what I actually was able to see recently, which I never saw before, it's sad to say, but I'm very happy to discover it recently, is that his demands are completely based on his own belief and then what he wants and needs, and has nothing to do with the fact that, you know, he wants to kill me. I mean, not not liberal, not literally, but he wants to kill me with, you know, the way that the weight of the work that he's requiring from me and my brother. So that was actually a really, really great discovery. And then I started to have the compassion of understanding how my father was so demanding, or is still so demanding. I started to understand, and I started to feel a little bit more love, and how showing how I can help him. And also the most important thing is being able to say no, and that, you know, there is a distance to which I could do certain things and some other things that I couldn't do and still feel good about it. So hopefully you're going to like the segment today, and then we'll have some time to be able to discuss together. So happy listening. Let me just show that right away. Sharing screen, music, and let me just go quickly and see. I think there is something about sharing, advanced sharing. I'm so sorry, I'm using Taylor's account to show that with you today. I wanted to share the sound, and just bear with me a couple seconds. I hope it's going to be okay. And here we go.
Our ability to empathize and respond with compassion to each other is one of our most precious capacities, and it's hardwired into us. Neuroscience has revealed mirror neurons and other structures in the prefrontal cortex that make up what is sometimes referred to as our compassion circuitry. This system enables us to perceive the emotions and even the intentions of others. However, when we're stressed, our compassion circuits can be blocked. Most of us have experienced how when we're under pressure, facing deadlines, worried about finances, or dealing with a conflict, we're less than sympathetic with our colleagues, our clients, our family. So this is where mindfulness-based compassion comes in. Numerous studies show that mindfulness practice directly engages the parts of our brain that are key in attuning to others' emotions. First, we're able to more readily recognize when another is hurt or afraid. We're able to feel with them. And with that, the tenderness of compassion naturally arises. And then secondly, as we respond mindfully with love and caring, that tenderness blossoms. So these are the two elements of a mindfulness-based compassion practice: letting yourself be touched by another's pain and responding with care. A judge at the Washington, D.C. Superior Court finds her mindfulness practice invaluable. She talked to me about the challenge and necessity of being able to feel with those facing the bench. Otherwise, she said, she would lose access to the wisdom of her heart in pursuing justice. The key aspect of mindfulness-based compassion training is learning to recognize and turn toward vulnerability rather than away from it. This can be challenging, especially if you have a negative reaction to someone. For a moment, imagine yourself walking in the woods and coming upon a small dog under a tree. You go over to pet it, but it lunges at you, fangs bared. Your immediate reaction is anger and fear, but then you notice that that dog's leg is in a trap, and your anger turns into concern. In the same way, when people behave in ways that cause us to react in anger or fear, it means their leg is in a trap. The moment you let yourself truly open to that person's pain, your natural response will be that you want to help. While compassion arises most quickly when others are from the same tribe, the same race, religion, ethnicity, as we learn to deepen our attention to the realness of another's suffering, the tenderness of compassion includes those from different backgrounds and species. Some fear that they'll be overwhelmed if they let in another's suffering. People tell me, I'm already too thin-skinned and sensitive. I can't handle so much emotion. This capacity to include more and more of the world in our hearts is the hope for ending racism, for ending war. It's the hope for peace on earth. As the poet Rilke writes, I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. As we widen our circles of compassion through mindfulness, as studies show, we also enhance our own levels of happiness and well-being. Our evolution has hardwired us to realize our interconnectedness and live with caring, open hearts. Let's explore this together. Please sit in a way that allows you to be relaxed and alert. And take some moments to let go of any tension that might have accumulated in your body, allowing your body and mind to settle, be at ease. Bring your full attention to the natural rhythm and quality of your breath. As the breath flows in, allow your cells to receive this life energy. Be aware of the experience of no resistance, of allowing yourself to be touched by the sensations of the breath. And with the out-breath, notice the sensations of letting go and releasing into the space that surrounds you. Imagine your total body and consciousness flowing outward with the breath and mingling with the vastness of space. Breathing in and receiving, and breathing out and letting go. Now invite into your awareness someone you know personally who's suffering, someone who you want to help. And you might imagine yourself in this person's circumstances, experiencing this person's fear or hurt or loss. What is it like to look at the world through these eyes, to live inside this particular body, to feel with this heart? Can you sense what is the most vulnerable, painful part of this person's experience? What does he or she most need? As you sense this, breathe in, letting this person's pain touch your heart, allowing yourself to feel it gently. With each in-breath, attending to and sensing this person's vulnerability. And as you breathe out, sense that you're releasing this suffering into vast, caring presence. Breathing in, gently contacting the pain, and breathing out, letting it go into the benevolence and love that fills this universe. If it's difficult to feel this person's vulnerability, feel your own tender body, your throat, chest, belly, and focus on softening. If you find you have any resistance or difficulty finding compassion as you practice, hold this resistance too with compassion. Breathing in, feeling touched by vulnerability. Breathing out, offering your care and love, sensing how suffering is held in compassion. Now, enlarge the circle of your compassion to include all those who are in the same situation, experiencing the same suffering. If the person you want to help is grieving a loss, breathe in and out with all those who are experiencing the pain of loss. If this person feels like a failure, breathe in and out with compassion for all who feel like failures. Sense as you breathe in the unconditional willingness, tenderness, and receptivity of your heart. And as you breathe out, the vastness of loving awareness that it's here holding the world. Continue breathing, opening to the universal experience of suffering and letting go into spaciousness with your caring prayer. As your heart opens to touch the suffering, you can become that openness. As you offer your tenderness, your awareness becomes suffused with compassion. You can do an abbreviated version of this compassion practice whenever you encounter suffering. If you or someone you meet is having a hard time, pause, and for several breaths, silently breathe with compassion for his or her or your own pain, and with each breath, gently letting go into the larger space of love and presence. Whenever difficulty arises, it's an opportunity to practice mindfulness-based compassion.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And I hope the sound was okay and that you did have a nice little session with Tara. You know, ever since the past couple of years, we hear a lot of things about all those hatreds going on and the Black Lives Matters movement and then this movement and that movement. And I often get approached at work specifically also about situation where they ask me, can you talk about, diversity and inclusion? Can you talk about how we can help everyone to look at things from a different angle, but all towards the same objective direction? And I started thinking, and I said to myself, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Mindfulness actually is almost the solution for everything. And listening to what Tara just said, and one thing came to my mind, which is something very, very that often comes into my conversations with my parents. You as a child of parents, and also as mother and fathers of children, you will understand what I mean. When my father will always say, for example, to me, I wish your brother is a little bit more like you. And of course, when I was very young, my ego got stroked, and I was like, oh yeah, I am the preferred child. Oh, daddy loves me. But then as I was growing up, and I specifically for the past couple of years, I just said to myself, my brother and I are both very, very different people. And because my personality is a little bit more like what my father is, he has a preference because we can both, rejoin each other when we are thinking. But that does not mean that my brother is a wrong person or, a lesser person. And so that was the start of my journey in the conversation with my father regarding the fact that my brother is my brother and I am who I am, and there's no one better than the other one. And as a parent, those are lessons for me as a parent. I have two children. I have a son and a daughter. And as a parent, I am very, extremely careful when I'm talking to my kids regarding, what I like about what they're doing, when we're celebrating their strength. And I never use any comparison. Now let's transport that into our workplace, and then what it would look like, in a team. How often some of us here have heard, "Oh my God, I wish so and so in the team is not so difficult, and I can be a little bit more like so and so else." And sometimes, when I'm hearing those things, I'm like, yeah, but so and so may take a little bit more time to realize the project, but in a different way, not in the way that one would have hoped, but still delivers the material or the project in a very good way. And so that compassion, and then that patience, and that empathy that we have in us is building up in a way that is helping us to look at the way that we can work together and be more compassionate. So if I'm bringing back into the race world, is I am going to say it. I'm following the American politics situation very closely because it's a curiosity, of course, but every time I'm hearing President Trump saying that China disease, it gets my entire body kind of eeks up because I'm Chinese and I don't deny the fact that the disease actually started there. But continuing the speech that he's using is really building up on some kind of a separation. Um, I would even say racist discrimination kind of a feeling, and that is, yerking, yeah, and it's really hurting my ears. And I was just hoping how, in our workplace, such remarks can be called on, and then how we can help those people, actually, every one of us. And I'm one of them sometimes, to see things very quickly and can be very hurtful. And then to reprise ourselves and then rephrase in a more compassionate, inclusive, and care kind of approach. If you have anything you would like to share with us, please do so. This is our floor.
Well, it's not on, it's not on what you were just, it's similar to what you're talking about. It was this morning with my daughter. she's getting ready for school, and she's wearing plaid today, so she's borrowing one of my big shirts because it's, she's the small, I'm a large kind of thing, right? So I'm giving her a hard time about the fact that what shirt you're wearing underneath, and I'm not thinking about the fact that she just wants to wear the shirt, she just wants to leave the house. And I'm like 2 minutes before she's about to walk out the door, I'm like, no. And I was one of those, so I stopped. And I was like, okay, and I stepped back and I walked out of the room and I walked back and said, look, I'm really sorry. I lost my head. Whatever you're wearing, it's fine. But it was like, I went into this whole spiral thing of, critiquing what she was wearing. And this is a teenage girl that I'm critiquing what she's wearing. And this is the really dumbest thing I could be doing right now. But, so I don't want her to get the idea of body image. I want her to, she doesn't have that. I don't want that to start with her. So, yeah. So
I have another example, which isn't nearly as in depth as the two that you two provided, but it's another scenario where and again, same comment as last week. It's funny how you do some of these things and you can't even articulate them until you hear somebody else explain them to you. It's really helping me understand and improve my own articulation of it. But when you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and your first instinct is to curse at that person, I have developed this practice. What I say to myself is, I've been in these situations myself where I'm rushing because of I'm late for a child's appointment, or I'm trying to get to something and I've probably cut other people off before. So I'm going to try to be compassionate to that person because I don't know what the basis of their rushing is for. And maybe they cut me off and they're rushing for a legitimate reason. So rather than curse at them, I try to show them compassion. So that's my example. and I know it's not nearly the same depth situation that you've shared with us, but
it is a wonderful one, Vera. It's one which we live every day and helps us practice. And it is a very practical example. Do we have any other participant who would like to share with us, Chris or Monsieur ou Madame Oul and Stephen? Please, this is your time, and then you can share if you would like. I was smiling, Vera, when you were talking about the driving one, because this one is the most flagrant one. My husband is a very careful driver, and when people are not driving to his standard of what we call the les codes de la route, so the codes, he has a lot of comments to say, and and building compassion and empathy in him when I was sitting right beside him and looking at that whole thing is a very difficult task. But I can understand. So if we do not have anything we would like to share furthermore, I wanted to thank you very much for being with me today and then just share this little parcel of a journey with me. And I'm always very glad every Wednesday when I'm meeting with you again. And I want to thank you also, congratulate you to take the time for yourself, these particular 30 minutes to just breathe and be with us and then be with yourself. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.